shattered.
I don't see any open doors.
Who's this down here?
Hey, who are you?
My dad. Is that your dad?
What happened?
He came down. There was a man.
But as detectives dig deeper,
You know that somebody hurt your family.
Yeah.
And you know who hurt your family.
No. Well, yeah, I do.
You do.
the story told by the lone survivor begins to unravel.
It was daylight. It was hot. This person wearing all black and a ski mask and gloves, breaking in a back door, it didn't add up.
Hey there, everybody, I'm Jesse Weber, and welcome to Prime Crime. This is where we break down some of the most compelling and memorable true crime cases from across the country. When a call comes in about a possible break-in in an upscale neighborhood in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, officers aren't sure what they're going to be walking into. It's a crime which leaves investigators wondering, is the caller a victim, or is he hiding a darker truth?
Lynn County Sheriff, where is your emergency?
I've been shot. My other family member's been shot. I need help immediately.
Okay, sir, stay on the line.
It's early morning, June 15th, 2021. Police get a 911 call saying an intruder has broken into a family home.
Okay, what's going on?
Someone broke in.
Okay.
I've been shot.
You've been shot?
My dad's been shot.
Hold on just a second. Are they still there?
No, they left.
Did they come inside the house?
Yeah.
It was before 8:30 a.m. Police received a 911 call from Alex Jackson, and he said that there was an intruder that had broken into their home.
Where were you shot at?
Downstairs.
No, on your body.
Foot.
In your
Left
foot?
foot.
Do you know who broke in?
No.
Did you get a look at them?
Shot himself in the foot.
No.
Could you tell if it was a man or a woman?
Man. I think I spooked him off.
Do you know how they got in the house?
The back door, I think. It's open, so.
Burglaries don't necessarily have to stick to a certain script. There are certain characteristics of a burglary that we come to expect. Daytime burglaries usually result in push-in burglaries or going to a less visible part of the house, breaking in through a window, kicking in a back door, something of that nature.
You're doing great, Alex. You're doing good. Is anybody else home with you?
My sister.
Your sister? Where's she at?
Her bedroom.
What's your sister's name?
Where?
I just want to make sure that we know who's supposed to be in that house, okay? This person that you saw in your house, did they leave out the back door?
Yeah.
How long ago was this?
I don't know.
You don't know? 10 minutes ago?
Maybe.
Do you remember what color shirt or what color hair this guy had? Anything about him?
Black?
You think it was a black male or a black shirt?
Both?
When he's asked to describe the intruder, he simply describes him as a male black with no specific features, no real description of his clothing, his age. One could argue that this was an individual who was in shock after just seeing his family gunned down.
He probably was in shock, I'm sure, but he didn't give a lot of details to the dispatcher. She was trying to draw it out of him.
Just you and your sister in the house, right?
Yeah.
No parents or grandparents, animals?
My mom's here too.
Okay, so you, your sister, and your mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad's here.
Do you know if mom and sister are safe? Did the guy go upstairs?
Well, I don't see them.
Alex, do you have any weapons downstairs? Any guns, knives, anything like that?
No, but there's a gun on the floor.
There is? That's not yours?
It's ours, but we got shot by it.
So he took your gun and shot you?
Yes.
In this case, lots of potential people responding to the scene, including police. So when they got there to the Jackson home, I don't think they knew what they were going to find.
I've got officers in the back and the front. They're just trying to get mom and sister to come to the door if they're there, okay? That's why they're ringing your doorbell. Could sister and mom be gone, do you think?
Hopefully.
Do you think you know who did this to you?
No.
Officers
That was not
arrive
very
on
convincing,
scene,
though.
but there's a lot of confusion.
This is the very last house at the dead end on the right, correct?
You have to realize that this is a fairly affluent community in Cedar Rapids, and it's also a quiet community. And so when they arrive at the house, they don't really hear anything.
This sounds if there's people in the house, there's no reason they can't come out. This is sounding like... All right, well, I'm gonna go around to the back. I'm gonna see if I can get eyes.
This is sounding... I'm just gonna knock.
I don't see any open doors.
We're wondering if it's not a swatting call.
They're trying to get information from dispatch. Is the perpetrator still inside? Where are people? Where should we go? They classify it as a potential swatting situation. A swatting situation is when people kind of give a false call just to get an officer's reaction or get police there, and it's really nothing.
The back door is open. All the shades are drawn, so I can't really see anything.
I'm getting no answer to the door. Shot?
Every door and window in this home were locked except for the one that was on the lower level basement backside of the home.
It takes them a while to even get into the house.
Can't they just go in through the back door?
They're confronted with the horror of Jan laying on the floor. There's a rifle next to him. He doesn't look like he's alive at that point. And then they hear Alex's voice.
Police department! Where are you at? We got contact with one subject in the house. You down here by yourself? There's a subject down.
Can you put your hands out to the side where I can see them?
Oh, I have my hand on my foot.
115, multiple victims. One has a gunshot wound. The other is wounded in the leg.
Who's this down here? Hey, who are you?
My dad.
Is that your dad? What happened?
He came down. There was a man.
Who shot your... Who else is here?
My sister.
She's in the back?
Yeah, she's in her room.
Is she okay?
I think so.
Alex initially appeared to be distraught. He sounded to be in pain, and he didn't really talk very much about the very apparent injuries to his father.
Third victim. Third victim? Yeah.
When they eventually get inside, they have their guns drawn. They're going from room to room to see if there is in fact an intruder still there.
Watch my back. Police department! Sound off if you're here!
When they realize he's not there, that there's no intruder, they come upon a pretty horrific scene. There is blood everywhere. There is Jan Jackson laying in the living room. And then Sabrina, Alex's sister, is in her bedroom.
To the officers, it's now apparent that this isn't just a break-in. It's a violent crime scene.
Okay, I'm gonna go in here. Looks like a master bedroom. Fourth victim! That could be the wife. Yep.
692, we have a fourth victim. Upstairs bedroom.
They weren't expecting this. They were told that this was a burglary. What turned out to be just supposed to be a simple call of somebody breaking in. Maybe there's somebody that's been shot. That also now we have 2 dead bodies and we have another one injured. They go upstairs to continue the protective sweep and they find Melissa Jackson dead off the bed.
So we had triple homicide? Hey, we got him. Is anybody down tending to him?
They're starting to put together that this is not what we were called for, that this is going to be
No shit.
a triple homicide.
The Jackson family, there was Jan and Melissa, who were the mother and the father,
Sorry,
and
Miss
then they had
Jackson.
Sabrina, and she was 19. Alex Jackson was their son, who was 20 at the time. Alex and Sabrina had been in college. Alex had been like an Eagle Scout in high school. He played in the high school band, and so had Sabrina. I believe she played the oboe and he played the flute.
Jan worked in IT, and Melissa, she was retired, but was a photographer. They kept to themselves. They were very quiet about things. They did not have a lot of local friends. They didn't have any other family in the area.
Investigators are now confronted with a storm of unanswered questions. Up next, the hunt is on for a killer, but could the culprit be closer than they realize?
So you got some water in your hands too. You mind if I take some photos of that here real quick? Yeah. I think that's my foot blood.
Alex, what happened?
There was a man.
What man?
A tall man.
Okay. I think he's in shock about everything.
Police are investigating the tragic triple homicide of Jan, Melissa, and Sabrina Jackson after their 20-year-old son and brother, Alexander Jackson, called 911 to report an intruder in the family home. When officers arrive, they get a closer look around and take stock of the crime scenes spread across several rooms.
The first thing that law enforcement needs to do is figure out what happened. If it was an intruder, is this a person that came to steal something and then just came upon the family and then killed them? Is this someone that intentionally came for the purpose of killing this family?
First one is right here. Shot in the head. Watch out, you don't step on the rounds. Multiple gunshot wounds.
Dad's down with a gunshot wound to the head. There's a female DOA in the bedroom over there. Mom's DOA upstairs. I believe this is the son who was hit in the foot. We are not sure what hit.
No idea. There is a rifle on the ground here.
There's a rifle next to Jan. That has to be tested. Is that the weapon that fired the fatal shots? But at that moment, they don't know if there's more than one weapon involved.
Where's the next one? Right here. Another gunshot to the head. I don't know where the entrance went. Jesus Christ. Another teenager.
Jan, the father, was shot 5 times. He was shot in the chest, neck, back, all of them piercing vital internal structures. And from that, he has injuries on his face from falling over. Sabrina was shot twice. Melissa was shot twice, one near the left eye and the other in the head, both of those piercing the brain.
The first priority is getting Alex to the hospital, and investigators must move quickly to figure out who could have done this. But once they get in the ambulance, Alex starts talking, unprompted.
I ran into him.
You ran into who?
The man.
Okay. You ran into him how?
I hit him and with like a fist or kind of.
Okay.
It's charged.
So
Yeah, my foot.
You were sleeping in the porch?
Yeah.
Okay. Then what happened? Did you hear gunshots or what?
Yeah. And then
saw somebody in your house?
yeah.
Alex, who opened the back door?
I don't know. Maybe he did.
You only saw one guy?
Yeah.
One gun?
Yeah.
There's almost a nonchalant way about
Yo,
Alex
Sean, what's up,
Jackson.
buddy?
I think he almost chuckles at one point. It's almost like he has no grasp or concept that his entire family has been killed.
What'd your dad do?
Computers. Here. He does IT. She's a photographer. She's really good.
Once they arrive at the emergency room, Alex continues talking, and at times he repeats what he claims he saw that morning.
Turning that bad boy on. If I hang out with a few people at the crib, I feel that.
Is that all you want to say?
I think you do it right now.
What happened to you?
I push, and try to take the gun. And well, see what happens.
So you tried to take the gun from the guy?
Yeah.
And then that happened. Okay.
He's in pain, which you can understand if he was shot in the foot. but he's still not saying a whole lot. He's still just kind of saying the same story, and he says he didn't see who it was. He does ask if they found his parents or if they found his sister and how are they, but nobody's really answering his questions.
Then, detectives get more of the story.
Can we start out with like last night, maybe? Like,
Yeah.
what time did you get home last night? Or
I was home
okay,
all day.
okay. What time did you go to bed?
11, I think.
And where did you sleep at?
On the porch.
How come you slept on the porch? Is that were you normally
It's
sleep?
nice up there.
Were you the last one to go to bed?
Maybe. I think my mom was still going around.
The investigators did ask Alex what led up to this, what led up to the night, anything happened, and he basically said nothing out of the ordinary happened. They had spent the night together, they had dinner, they watched movies.
Who lives with you at the house?
My mom, dad, sister, and dog.
What time did you wake up this morning?
I woke up and heard gunshots. I went inside.
You take your time, buddy.
He's taller than me, I think. I don't know why he was there. I heard him downstairs, so I went downstairs. He was messing with my dad's gun.
Did he have a mask on?
Oh yeah, one of those ski masks or whatever.
Did you see his hair?
No,
What about his shoes?
I think they're green.
Again, they ask him questions about the intruder, about what the intruder looked like, how it was that the intruder came in throughout the questioning, whether it be in the house, in the ambulance, at the hospital. He's not very specific. He describes them as male black. He describes something that they're wearing. He describes at one point the guy cursing, but he really doesn't give any substantive descriptions of this person such that one would expect they'd ever be able to find that person.
He was messing with your dad's gun. And then what happened?
Well, he's messing with her. And killed my dad, I think. He was on the floor. And I ran at him.
You ran at the guy with the gun?
Yeah.
Then what happened?
I pushed him
Did he say anything to you?
quite deep. Quite pushed.
Quite deep.
Yeah, deep close.
What did he say?
You think I grabbed the gun and let my go. I fired, and then obviously that happened.
He fired it
Yeah,
and it shot you in the foot?
yeah, so I think I fell.
This guy's acting like he's got amnesia. Sean, I'm just waiting for this to warm up. I'm gonna go grab a glass of water, big bud. And we'll be ripping a fat stoke when I get back. Oh, look at that. Nice little easy clue on top.
Investigators begin to realize many details of Alex's account aren't quite adding up, so their focus begins to narrow on Alex himself.
Do you think someone was upset with your family?
If it's that way, I don't know what.
You don't know who or what?
I'll be right back. Oh my god. Do your thing, chicken wing. Yeah. Shawnee. Shawnee. Shawnee.
What they'd be upset about? How do you feel about your family? I love my family. Do they ever do anything that upsets you? Oh yeah, they're family.
He very rarely showed any remorse for his family. He started to express, like, are they okay? It was like a rehearsed speech that he had ready. Like he said, like, I love my family. I love my parents and my sister. You may not believe me, but I love them. There was no passion or raw emotion.
He's acting like it's just like no big deal in a way, the way he talks, but it is probably going back to he could still be in shock, or maybe he's just an awkward kid. He says he loves his family. He doesn't have any problem with his family. And they keep pushing that because they're trying to get more answers about it. But he just says that it wasn't him.
Despite Alex's statements, the evidence at the scene appears to be pointing in a different direction. Coming up, detectives wonder if Alex Jackson is telling the whole truth.
I would just like to understand why. If you don't want to talk about all the details, that's fine.
I didn't do this. If that's what you're trying to say.
By the way, as you can see from a story like this, the content special 30 title
to an Iowa family being gunned down in their own home. But the lone survivor of the family, Alexander Jackson, tells investigators that he awoke to gunshots and fought with the intruder.
Your dad was there laying on the ground, and then you called 911.
Well, I called it after I crawled away.
Was your dad saying anything, or did you talk to him at all? I know it's not.
But when officers do a sweep of the area surrounding the Jacksons' home, Alex's story begins to fall apart.
You guys hear anything? Did you guys hear any shots?
Cedar Rapids Police K-9. Anybody in the area, sound off or you will be bit by my dog. Last and final warning.
Officer Curtis Buckles and his K-9 partner Corsa, what they need to first figure out is there another person that was there? They were told that this person escaped or left the back door area and took off running. They wanted to see if they could pick up the scent of another individual. They checked the trails or areas where someone may have gone. Those weren't disturbed. They looked for fingerprints. They looked for DNA. They looked for anything to show that someone broke in to disturb something, to take something. There's no indication of that.
We need to talk to these construction workers, though, at some point. Make sure no one, she's not picking anything up coming through here, so. I've walked all this, and the only place she had interest was right here.
Back at the hospital, detectives confront Alex on the inconsistencies in his story.
After he shot you, he left?
I think so.
Okay. Did he still have the gun?
I don't know.
Okay, where else would it have gone? Did you get it away from him?
I don't remember. I know we arrested my number.
The investigators during all this, they're like at his home, going through everything. What was strange was that there was nothing amiss in the house. Nothing was turned over. Everything was in its place. There was even, I believe, a puzzle nearby on a table that none of the pieces were on the floor.
When we stepped out, we talked to our coworkers. They were out at your house. Okay. We went through your house, we went through the neighborhood, and Alex, the reality is there's not any evidence that anyone else was over at your house. It's okay. It's okay. Alex, do you want to tell us what happened I got shot. I think he left.
Alex, that's not what the evidence is showing.
The fact that it was daylight, not just daylight, but it was hot. This date will stick out in my memory forever based on just the sheer temperature that it was at 8 o'clock in the morning. So the description of this person wearing all black and a ski mask and gloves, you know, walking through this affluent neighborhood in broad daylight, it didn't add up.
If there had been a person there would be some evidence that he showed up. There is no evidence of that.
Man, it's gotta be hard to sell a house after there's been a murder in there.
Bad happened, and there's a reason why something bad happened. And I know you know that reason, but I don't. And I want to understand it.
Okay, I don't know.
Well, you do. What happened that led to the events today? What caused this?
I don't know. I just woke up in the morning.
What really caught officers' attention was if someone had come in, broken into the house, used the gun, shot the family, and then shot Alex, why would they leave the gun behind? The gun that was used was the Jackson's family gun. It was actually Alex Jackson's gun. It was a brown .22 rifle.
Do you want our report to reflect that there was a guy in your house that there's no evidence of?
Well, yeah, of course there's a guy in my house.
Listen to me. Do you want us to write down in the report that there was a guy in your house, that there's no video of him ever showing up or leaving? Do you want us to put that down, or do you want to give us some sort of an explanation that makes sense?
I want the guy found.
The Jackson home had external.
But this kid's like actually not lying
cameras
though.
set up all along
That'd be the craziest part.
outside of the home. All of the surveillance videos were on and live and recording, except that one in the backyard that would have specifically caught this phantom burglar.
What do you think about what happened to your sister? What happened to her? Was she alright?
You know that somebody hurt your family.
Yeah.
And you know who hurt your family.
No. Well, yeah, I do.
You do?
Not really.
What do you mean?
It's like, guy.
There's not a guy. That didn't happen.
So the person that hurt your family was inside your home.
Who?
Wow.
It's not me.
You didn't hurt your family?
No, I would never.
There's one key question still on everyone's mind. If Alex did kill his parents and sister, why would he want them dead?
Do you work anywhere? No? Where'd you go to school at?
Iowa.
Oh, are you still in Iowa?
The problem law enforcement had with this case is here you had what seemed from the outside to be a fairly normal family dynamic. Alex Jackson had no history of criminality. He had no history of mental health issues. And no one seemed to have any basis to believe that there would be any motive why he would want his family dead.
How did your dad feel about your career choices or life choices?
I guess he wants me to work zero.
Have you ever had any problems with him? Like serious problems with him? Like judging your life or choices?
He's proud of me.
Yeah, how about now?
Yeah.
Same? Sister?
I guess.
Alex said that his dad had threatened to kick him out or told him he would have to move out if he didn't get a job because he had been going to college, but he dropped out.
Tell me more about your dad. Does he get along with people in general, including you? Then why are you guys having so many problems? What about him telling you you need to move out and you're not going to get a job?
Well, that's just because what I should do.
If I'm going to pay for half of your college, you're going to get a job. You're going to pay for the other half. You're not showing any effort. You haven't showed a drop of effort to go get a job.
Motive was something that plagued us. Could it have been money? Absolutely. At the time, he only had $30 to his name. He did not have a job. He did not have savings. There was a fair amount of wealth and assets to be attained by whoever the surviving heir was.
Are we going to find anybody else's fingerprints on those shell casings besides you and your dad?
I don't think so.
Are you going to continue to tell me that you had nothing to do with this? You are.
Okay, story that ends.
No, it's not. You're going to continue with that story.
What is my story? Tell me about
It is your story. It's a great story.
It's the correct story.
Well, in your mind.
This was our first triple homicide here for at least 30 years. To have this type of brutal crime scene, to have this type of murder happen in your own community just really, really took back everyone. No one could have ever imagined when the information came out that this was caused by a 20-year-old kid, that anyone would kill their parents and their sister in this manner.
This young man with no criminal record and no previously reported mental health issues is accused of killing his own family. Up next, is there enough evidence to bring murder charges against Alexander Jackson?
You weren't thinking straight, Alec. You weren't. People that are thinking straight don't do these kind of things. They talk themselves out of it.
By the way, we plugged in Alexander Jackson into Truth Finder.
Sabrina, they know who's responsible for killing Jan, Melissa, and Sabrina Jackson. Despite his claims of innocence and contention that a masked intruder is the real shooter, son and brother Alexander Jackson is taken into custody. But investigators have a few more questions to hash out.
We took into account your theory about a ski masked intruder coming in with the worst description on the planet. You gotta just be honest with us, man. We know no one left.
Well, I'm telling you how I saw it, you know?
Right. You still think someone was there?
Yeah. Do I know someone was there?
Who's using your phone at 6 a.m. to get on social media?
Maybe me, I don't know. I don't remember.
How could you use it at 6 if you were asleep till 8?
Alexander had told investigators that he was sleeping outside on that screened-in porch with his dog all night without his cell phone. 20-year-old gamer, no cell phone on the porch.
Alex Jackson claimed that he was awoken by the gunshots, yet they were able to show that several hours before this alleged intruder came in, Alex Jackson was awake and on the phone.
If they came there to murder people like you said, then they would have had to get lucky enough that you had left a gun out for them. And then be able to know right where everybody's at and shoot everyone and get in a fight with the biggest person in the house and be able to escape. You cannot sit there and look me in the eye and say, yeah, well, that did happen. Are you ashamed? Is that why you don't want to tell us?
Well, I don't want to tell you because I didn't do it.
Well, you're being charged with murder of your mom, your dad, and your sister. And you're going to go to jail.
As investigators strengthen their case against Alexander Jackson, one critical question still troubles detectives. Who shot Alex in the foot?
Himself,
when
obviously.
Alex began to interact with law enforcement, he tried to appear to be so hurt that he couldn't walk, that he couldn't move, that he couldn't check on his family members. Even though there were footprints throughout the basement of this home.
The couch that was next to the stairs, there was this big pile of blood that initially we thought maybe that's where he was shot, but there was also a large puddle of blood near the corner of his bed. His footprints only went in one direction. His footprints only went out of his room. Never did his footprints go into his room or go down the hallway.
The investigators figured out that, Alex had shot himself in the foot.
He walked himself and his bloody foot out of the bedroom and up the hallway and deposited that murder weapon next to his father.
Alexander Jackson is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of his parents Jan and Melissa and his younger sister Sabrina. A year and a half later, Alex goes on trial, facing 3 life sentences.
Alexander Jackson, I want you to think that he had the perfect family life. That his mother, Melissa, his father, Jan, his sister, Sabrina, they all got along great. And it's not what Mr. Jackson claimed it to be.
They appeared to be close-knit, and we were able to gather that interpretation from a lot of the photographs that we found throughout the home. But then there was this gap in time where it seemed like the family interactions just ceased for this 4-year period. We knew that there were some disagreements, for lack of a better word, about politics. It appeared that Alex and his father were very conservative. The sister appeared to be a very liberal person. His sister and he argued a lot, according to Sabrina's journals.
On June 15th of 2021, a 911 call went out early in the morning hours. That call was made by the defendant, stating someone had broken into our house and shot me and my family. They find no evidence of any sign of anyone else inside that home that morning, except for the defendants, Sabrina, Melissa, and Jane.
Prosecutors point out one key piece of evidence which sets Alexander Jackson apart from any other possible suspect.
This gun was shot more than 11 times on that June 15, 2021 day, meaning it had to be loaded more than once.
It was a unique gun, and so somebody would have to be familiar with that gun if that's the gun they used, which that's what the evidence points to.
The murder weapon was on the floor just mere feet from his father. As our investigator began to process the firearm, he himself could not figure out how to load this gun. Trained law enforcement weapon processor had to watch a YouTube video of this specific model of firearm to figure out how to load it. Not only did this phantom burglar come into the Jackson home to hurt people without a weapon, but he used a weapon that just happened to be laying out on the fireplace mantle and figured out how to load it and then reload it during this killing spree.
With this evidence, this knowledge, this truth, you will see that the person responsible for the deaths of Sabrina Jackson, Jan Jackson, Melissa Jackson was caused by their own family member, the defendant.
In a circumstance where you have 3 people and they're killed in different rooms of the house, and yet no one seems to have gotten to a phone, why isn't there more of a struggle, more of a fight, or more of a hiding, or something like that? Maybe because the perpetrator's known to them. They're confronted with Alex, and they're not afraid.
The lack of evidence in this case was as important, if not more important, than the physical evidence that was recovered. The lack of a fatal or attempted fatal wound on Alexander Jackson, coupled with all of the other physical evidence that only could point at Alexander Jackson, were how we pieced this case together.
The defense, however, suggested investigators had tunnel vision, accusing them of zeroing in on Alex from the start.
Having just seen his father lying in a pool of blood on the ground,
I'd hate
bleeding.
if this chick was my lawyer, bro. Holy fuck, I know I'm not winning. Listen to this bitch talk. Listen to this chick talk, and then listen to the other guy talk. Like,
From his foot, in shock, officers wasted no time at all accusing Alexander Jackson of killing his family. And although they interrogated him for over 7 hours, Officer Matt Denlinger and Sarah Lucina had never even stepped foot on the crime scene. It took about 35 minutes before they decided that Alexander Jackson was their suspect.
We knew that the defense were going to argue that we did not exhaust all of the leads that we could. We didn't do a thorough investigation to look for other suspects.
There are some things in the investigation that could have been done differently, could have been done better. Part of their strategy was to poke holes in the investigation.
Alexander Jackson never wavered in telling officers what happened to him that morning. He told them over 13 different ways that it was not him. But charging Alex was the easiest route for officers.
And when it came to the subject of fingerprints, aside from Jackson's prints, because it was his own gun, could there be someone else?
Officers didn't even bother to test whether there are any fingerprints or DNA on the bullets later removed from that gun, or from any bullets that were dropped on the floor.
There was an unidentified fingerprint that was found on the rifle. They were going to also point to that piece of evidence that there is also a possibility that there was another suspect.
Officers found no other blood on Alex except from his own body. Officers found 2 separate prints on that rifle that was on the scene. One belonging to Alex, the other print belonging to an unidentified person.
The other fingerprint most likely was Alex. It didn't have enough points to say who it is one way or the other.
Following days of testimony, the case is handed off to the jury. And when the verdict was read after 5.5 hours of deliberations, Alexander Jackson is emotionless.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Alexander Jackson, guilty of the offense of murder in the first degree.
The defense doesn't waste any time. They file a motion for a new trial even before the sentencing hearing less than 2 months later. But the motion is ultimately denied. And that is when Alexander Jackson learns his fate.
This set of murders shook this community to its core.
Mr. Jackson is adjudicated to be guilty of 3 counts of murder in the first degree. In each count, he is sentenced to be confined for the remainder of his life with no possibility of parole.
I'm an Eagle Scout as well. So, you're taught these values and these ethics that you should live by. The Eagle Scout badge has 2 stars on it, and those stars indicate truth and knowledge. The truth that Alex was trying to tell, that wasn't the truth.
In all of my career, I have never prosecuted a triple homicide of family members killed by someone who was a part of that family, who was supposed to love and cherish the family that they were born into. It was
I guess you have now.
an absolute tragedy, an absolutely inexplainable, unjustified, senseless murder. Even though we were able to obtain 3 guilty verdicts, there are still 3 innocent people who lost their lives with absolutely no explanation and no justification for that.
In the end, here's what we know. Jan, Melissa, and Sabrina were brutally murdered. And we know that Alexander Jackson is the one who committed this absolutely atrocious crime. But what we don't know, and what we may never know, is why he did this. That is the part that still plagues us. Why a man would cut short the lives of 3 people who were supposed to be his whole world. That's all we have for you here on this episode of Prime Crime, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jesse Weber, and as always,
Looks terrible. Erratic special ed teacher caught using cocaine on campus. That's hilarious.
In news that shouldn't come as any shock to anybody, Dr. Disrespect's former development studio Midnight Society has confirmed that they are shutting down. Earlier this week, we saw LinkedIn posts from former employees basically saying the studio has run out of money. They showed up one day and were told to go home. Now, this is obviously on the heels of the whole Dr. Disrespect being removed from the company situation last year, after confirmations came out that he was banned from Twitch for allegedly, we have to say that word here, inappropriately messaging minors. Even though that came from Doc's own words, him editing the tweet multiple times last year, and all of that weird drama caused Midnight Society to cut ties. And obviously, like, everybody with a fucking brain knew as soon as that happened, the game was dead. But I actually thought the game was going to make it through to launch and then nobody would care because of the whole situation with Doc not being attached to the project anymore. But they're actually just out of money now. Last year, they went through a round of significant layoffs, and at the time, people were like, oh yeah, they're definitely having
What the fuck?
I did karate with one of
That's pretty nuts.
Guys, check out this killer baguette. We're making.
That's pretty nuts. Ain't gonna lie.
not good for the game. Jokic roll. Such an eager passer. Still has his dribble. LeBron James digs in defensively. Jokic slow dribbling. Hooks it up.
You're gonna think about that one for a while, aren't you? No. Come on.
No, I think that's a mismatch for us. Try to score. I mean, I didn't think that was him or whatever. I just want to score. That's it.
Audible gasp. They're not even advertising it anymore.
Perhaps a new hunting ground.
But not everyone.
guy's putting together quite the team. Whatever they're planning, we'll stop them. I really should have stretched.
That kid you're tutoring, he's the other one?
It's better if I don't know the details.
I'll be fine, Ma. Class is back in session. I sense a beast. Let's end this. Mom, let's go! Woo! Teamwork making the dream work.
I like how they make the game look so good there, but in reality it's dog shit running like just straight trash. It's crazy to me. It should be illegal. Oh shit, when you look at that, I actually just got enough. Now we AFK these shields.
Apparently Hal IGL'd that game. I saw.
Sounds like a monkey every time he screams, bro.
Walking down the street when out the corner of my eye I saw a pretty little thing approaching me. She said, I never seen a man who looks so all alone. Could you use a little company? If you pay the right price, your evening will be nice and you can go and send me on my way. I
cooking.
I was walking down the street when out the corner of my eye I saw a pretty little thing.
We're cooking something that's on the edge of healthy. The edge.
This guy looks like he's been losing weight.
Damn, that's a lot of seeds. I'm horrible with crockpot timing. I have no fucking clue how long that takes.
Get away from me, American woman. Mama, let
2 more bites of that and I'm in men's health.
I don't even know if I go top.
I was sitting here doing this for 5 minutes. I was like, am I fucking dreaming? How'd you see it? I don't know why it's so fucking mean. The buck. Stop, motherfucker. What's your deal? Would you just look out your window? I was making my fucking coffee. Stop here. Hold it by the collar. Holy crap. All right. I'm gonna let you go. You're gonna go your way. I'm gonna go mine. All right? 3, 2, 1.
Did you have discussions with any other teams besides the Lakers about this deal?
No, and I'd like to give Rob Pelinka a lot of credit. You know, trades, you guys have been around here, trades don't happen at the smallest level without stuff getting out. And Rob and I were able to have, you know, really intense conversations over the course of, you know, 3 or 4 weeks that started out as a coffee that, you know, was more, hey, would you ever, I don't know, would I? Let me think of, you know, and then it built upon that. And, you know, we kept it between us. We had to keep it tight. J Kidd didn't know about it, but J Kidd and I are aligned, and we talk about archetypes, and we talk about the culture that we want to create. So I know the type of players that he likes without actually talking to him. Hey, would you like, you know? So I know that, and J Kidd coached them when they won a championship. So I think when you're aligned with your coach like that, I know the type of players that he likes. And so
yeah, he liked Luka Doncic, bro.
about it.
That's crazy work.
But now I'm trophied up, I'm saying like bing, bop, boom, 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 bop, bam. The type of shit I'm on, you wouldn't understand. The type of skits I'm on, you wouldn't understand. Big
The just
I had no issues with them at all.
But isn't it hard to believe that somebody would kill
It's
them?
crazy. Of course it is.
But you're saying that is not you.
Of course not. Of course not.
In Calgary, Canada, on June 24th, 2017, Jasmine Levitt and Robbie Sanderson welcomed their first child into the world, a daughter named Aliyah Lynn Sanderson. Aliyah was born early in the morning, and she was a very, very tiny baby, but she quickly became her parents' entire world. I mean, that's how it always happens, right? You have this baby, and your whole world just shifts, and nothing else matters but this little baby. Now, Jasmine and Robbie, they weren't married at the time, and they were both also pretty young when Aliyah was born. I'm not sure Robbie's exact age, but Jasmine was in her early 20s. She was around 23 years old, and she was absolutely a beautiful guy. She had this long, dark hair, dark eyes, full lips, you know, a perfect little button nose with a bunch of freckles on her face. I mean, just truly stunning. Now, being a new parent is, of course, really difficult, no matter what age you are, 100%. But it was even tougher for them once they started having some issues in their relationship in addition to being newborn parents. So Robbie began coming home later and later, leaving Jasmine all alone. Then he began coming home drunk.
I'm gonna say probably
maybe
drunk as
sometimes
fuck.
even high. And then that escalated, and he began becoming aggressive. I'm not sure of the exact date of this incident, but one
Bro,
day,
this
Robbie
guy's like 20 years older than this chick. What the fuck? That's crazy
came
work.
home and was aggressively asking Jasmine for money. Now, she refused because she didn't know what he was planning to use this money for, and she was quite frankly worried, but Robbie would not take no for an answer. He was adamant he needed this money. So Jasmine, who was now worried about her safety and the safety of her young daughter, told him she would give him that money, but she needed to go upstairs, she needed to get her purse, and then she would bring it back down to him. But instead, she locked herself in the bathroom and she called the police. Now, somehow, Robbie found out what she was doing, and he completely lost his mind. He kicked down the bathroom door, he grabbed the phone out of her hands, and was just completely irate. Thankfully, though, he didn't attack Jasmine, and pretty soon after he got the door down, he left the house entirely. But when the police arrived, he was absolutely nowhere to be found. And since Jasmine hadn't been harmed physically, they kind of told her that there wasn't really anything that they could do about what happened. Thankfully, though, even though they weren't able to do anything in that moment, Jasmine was able to obtain an emergency protection order. However, the protection order ended up being revoked 13 days later. This was after Jasmine and Robbie said that they were able to come to an agreement. They resolved their situation. They got over their differences. They came to this mutual agreement. They no longer needed this order. A lot of the information surrounding this situation is still very vague, but we do know that Jasmine and Robbie ended up splitting up. And when they did, Jasmine received custody of Aliyah. So after this, it kind of seems like Robbie and Jasmine were able to maintain, an amicable relationship, co-parenting, and trying to make things just pleasant and peaceful. And like I said, Aliyah was Jasmine's entire life. And so she was absolutely fine with being, the sole caretaker, the protector. Family had always been the most important thing to her. She had also always been very close with her mom, Kim, and her sister, Genevieve. Now, of the three of them, Jasmine was definitely the funny one. I don't know a whole lot about her childhood, but I do know that she loved pranking her family. And her favorite day of the year, of course, with that, was April Fool's Day. Now, Jasmine was not only funny, she was also incredibly kind. She was the kind of person who would literally give you the shirt off of her back. Her mom also said that she was the type of person who would, quote, take her last $2 and spend it on you. She was just really generous, really warm, really genuine and kind. Traits that, of course, translated really well into Jasmine being a great mother now. Because on the one hand, she was fun, she loved joking around. But on the other hand, she was so comforting. She was such a loving mother, something that every child needs. I mean, truly, such a great balance. So in 2018, after breaking up with Robbie, Jasmine decided to put herself back out there, and she ended up signing up for a few dating sites, see if she could meet somebody new. And Jasmine caught the eye of a lot of guys, which was not too surprising because, again, she was beyond stunning. But she wasn't all that interested in the guys that were reaching out to her because nobody's really catching her eye. She was particular. I mean, she didn't want to let just any old kind of random into her life, especially
Old kind of random. Bro, I can't listen to this bitch talk, man. My god. It's killing me.
On March 12, 2023, police in Vancouver, Washington received a call from a worried grandmother. Her daughter and granddaughter, 27 and 6 years old, had gone missing. Miche was a single mother, and her daughter Layla was her whole world. There was no obvious reason for them to abscond without telling their family members. Something darker was at play.
It's been since last Sunday since anybody heard, seen, or talked to my daughter and granddaughter.
I'm missing a whole part of me. That's my sister and that's my niece. We don't know where they're at.
One of the last people to see Miche Melendez alive was this man, Kirkland Warren. He was Miche's ex-boyfriend, and they'd had a tumultuous relationship. But Kirkland said they were working things out, or they had been, when Miche and her daughter disappeared. A young mother and a vulnerable child. It was imperative that the police find these two missing persons as soon as possible. But soon enough, their investigations would reveal a twisted history and a murder that would leave Vancouver scarred for generations to come.
I don't come here with all questions. I do have some answers. What do you think my answers are?
Let's uncover those answers here on The Decoder, where we'll dive into exclusive interview and body cam footage to tell the terrible story of what happened to Miche Melendez. Vancouver, Washington is one of the state's most populous cities. On the border with Oregon.
This guy just say state.
And close to the west coast, it has a violent crime rate of 6.32 per 1,000 residents. This is higher than the state average, and made it even more concerning when Miche Melendez and her daughter went missing in March 2023. 27-year-old Miche was last seen with her daughter Layla by a friend in a burgundy Dodge Charger on the morning of March 12th. The driver of this car was Kirkland Warren, her ex-boyfriend. It seemed likely that he had been the last person to see Miche alive. March 22nd, 2023. What seemed like an ordinary day in a prison in Vancouver. But for this detective, waiting at the chess table to conduct an interview, it was the most important day in this case. He'd been tasked with finding missing Miche and Layla. He could only hope he'd ask all the right questions.
I guess first of all, how you holding up? As you can. Okay. Because we're here in a jail, I'm gonna read your Miranda rights. So, I'm a missing persons detective. Okay. Also, do feel that.
Chat, I'm gonna be right back. I gotta go grab another glass of water, boys. You know what? I'm gonna just fill up one of these Sprite bottles here, actually. Excuse me, I'm a little pig.
Other things like cell phones and computers. I'm a bit of a geek, but part of me being a geek is I also have to do missing persons. So in my missing persons investigation, Joanne told me at some point in the night of March 12th, she saw you with, is it Misha or Misha?
Misha. Kirkland said that he, Misha, and Layla had stayed the night together in a friend's apartment.
Did she say she was going somewhere? Can you tell me anything about that?
No, there was no talk about going anywhere. We had went out. Well, initially we came over to Joe's house because she was a mutual friend.
Okay.
We just came over there to, like, this is really my girlfriend, so.
So you guys went over to Joe's because she's a mutual friend, right?
And we were literally just going to talk and be together. Like, we slept together that night, everything.
He said they were meeting to reconcile after some drama in their relationship. According to him, everything went well that night, and they left Joe's house in the morning as planned.
Joe says that she saw, at some point in the night, you and Misha left, you guys came back, and then you and left the apartment with Misha, who apparently was out in your car. What kind of car do you drive?
Charger.
The Dodge Charger, right? Yeah. And then where did you guys go after that?
It wasn't nighttime then, it was the morning time. We didn't go anywhere. We went, Misha had parked the car down the street. We went down the street and took her to the car. And,
okay.
And that was it.
Kirkland told the investigator that Misha had left her car further down the street and that he drove her and her daughter over to it. He let them out and they drove away. This, according to him, was the last time he ever saw the pair alive. Misha and Layla were reported missing on March 18th, 6 days later. Misha was an independent woman with her own life, but she wouldn't do something reckless like disappear without telling her family. She took good care of her daughter, who often appeared in her TikTok videos, doing dances with her mom. Layla, though only 6, was doing well in school and had a promising life ahead of her. Misha once said, "I don't know how I got blessed with such an amazing daughter. She was beloved by her mom and her mom's entire family, including Misha's mother, Layla's grandmother. When her mom didn't hear from her all week, she called the police. The Vancouver Police Department conducted a welfare check on Misha's apartment and found no sign of Misha and Layla. But the next day, Misha's mom, desperately searching for her daughter and granddaughter, discovered Misha's car. It was abandoned in the Van Mall neighborhood, the same neighborhood where she and Layla had stayed with Kirkland on the night of the 11th. Kirkland said he'd tried to contact her that same day.
And then I tried contacting her later on that day because she had left her purse. And then...
So, I'm sorry, she left her purse?
She left her purse.
Okay, so she left her purse in your car?
Yeah.
Okay.
But literally after that, Joe, even then, I had tried to, I didn't call her on a regular phone. I called her Google Duo, just because she said it was the safest. Called her Google Duo, she wasn't picking up.
And this is because she's missing, right? Like you were trying to get a hold of her and you couldn't.
I mean, it wasn't a big concern at first because
okay.
I literally just thought she was just ignoring me for a little bit or something.
Kirkland and Misha had an on-again, off-again relationship.
Looks like Angel Reese in that picture.
Unusual that she wouldn't contact him for a while. He said he went to a bagel shop after dropping her off and then to another friend's house, Nettie's. Her absence didn't concern him until she was reported missing nearly a week later.
So where do you think they're at?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
Is there any history of them running off?
Not that I know of.
No.
Okay, so when you went over to Nettie's, what did you and Nettie do?
We just hung out, ate a bagel, and just watched TV.
Did you buy her a bagel too?
Yeah.
Is she like a girlfriend?
No.
No, she's just a friend.
Misha is my girlfriend. Misha is my girlfriend. But me and my wife are in the process of being separated.
Kirkland grew up in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. He was the son of a municipal judge who resigned in 2009 following allegations of misconduct, including second-degree forgery, abuse of office, and attempted theft of property.
That's crazy.
In the last few years, Kirkland had moved to Vancouver, Washington, where he married a woman named Monet Tyler Warren. She and Kirkland had 2 daughters. Aged 26 in the spring of 2023, she worked at a bank in Portland. But she'd recently been accused of stealing money from customer accounts and transferring it to others. The theft amounted to nearly $25,000. This wasn't a random, unconnected incident. On November 21st, 2022, Monet's credentials were used to alter account information at the credit union in order to steal, and $20,000 was transferred into an account under Miche Melendez's name. Miche was also seen on surveillance footage opening an account at the credit union that same month and exiting Monet's car. The 2 women knew each other and may have been tangled up in a criminal scheme together. This made sense with Miche's social media presence. She was an active TikTok user until her last post on December 20th, 2022. Right around the time of the thefts from the credit union, she began to go dark online, perhaps trying to minimize her exposure in case of an investigation. In both of her last posts, she could be seen with Kirkland. But what was Miche and Monet's connection? How had they developed the scheme if they were indeed both involved? The only thing the 2 women had in common was one man, Kirkland Warren. And Monet blamed Kirkland when she was questioned by police. She said she'd been changing the account information on behalf of her husband, who'd asked her to help him steal money. He said he was divorcing Monet, but his relationship with her wasn't just turbulent, it was criminal. And this went for his relationship with Miche, too. They'd been staying at their friend's apartment instead of one of their own for a specific reason, a restraining order.
You guys were going to stay, how long have you guys been staying there?
Literally the first night.
Okay, gotcha.
Because we, like I said, wasn't trying to violate or get caught violating.
Understood.
The previous December, Miche had called 911 to report that Kirkland had assaulted her, including firing shots at her balcony window as she was looking outside. In February, investigators had corroborated her story with a friend, who was also present during the altercation. But a mere 2 weeks later, on February 17th, Miche recanted the accusation. She said she'd lied about the shooting and that she and her friend both had mental health and substance abuse problems. She discredited herself and wanted the police to assure her that Kirkland wouldn't be arrested. But the police found this suspicious. On March 2nd, they arrested Kirkland on charges of second-degree domestic violence assault, drive-by shooting, making a false statement, harassment, and possession of a stolen firearm. The prosecutor said he posed an extreme risk to Miche's safety, with a score of 31 on a scale of 1 to 18. The judge held him on bail of $100,000 and ordered a domestic violence no-contact order. Kirkland violated this order within only hours of its issue. He called Miche twice from the Clark County Jail, saying she was the reason he'd been arrested and that he needed her to get the charges dropped. She said she was trying her best. He was released on bail later that day, but was cited in court for violating the no-contact order.
I was gonna say, how the fuck does he get out if he just cut?
Was ordered
What?
on March 6th.
How's that
The
even?
next day, the case was dismissed. He was not fitted with a GPS monitor.
They're not protected. DV has never really been taken seriously. The restraining orders are false security blankets. He was released with no GPS in the first place.
With this troubled history, he was the first suspect the police looked to in their investigation of the mother and daughter's disappearance. They served a search warrant for his house and car, and on March 19th, they took him into custody based on the violation of the order.
Hey, show me your hands. It's the police. Put your hands on top of your head and release your fingers.
Listen, you are under arrest for a violation, okay? Do you understand? If you do not obey commands, force may be used against you. Do you understand?
This gave the police the opportunity to interview him about Mishay and Layla.
So, I mean, I'm trying to gather leads, right? So if you were me, where would you go looking for, and again, if I find, I'm likely gonna find Mishay, right? So where do you think they're hiding out at? Where do you think would go? Where would she want to be?
I don't know. And then, like I said, again, I'm not trying to point fingers or anything. Her ex-husband literally took and wouldn't give her back for a couple days, and we had an issue with that. So
when was that?
This was like sometime last year, maybe.
Kirkland suggested that maybe Mishay's ex-husband had something to do with it. But the police had already visited him and determined that Mishay and Layla weren't with him. And unlike Kirkland, he didn't have an outstanding no-contact order against him.
Fair enough. I'm trying not to get too involved in your other case, right? But like I said, I'm more interested in that little girl. Okay, that is, Mishay could be anywhere, right? But I mean, I'm sure you love that little girl like everybody else, right? I mean, that little girl got a lot of family, right?
Two of my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, I'm really, when Mishay gave her brother the car, I'm the one that got up in the morning to take Layla to school every morning.
And you're kind of soft-spoken. Do you mind if I pull up a chair? Sweet, man.
It's no, I got a whole lot of shit I'm already dealing with, and this just makes everything worse.
Like what? Like your other cases?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I only had one other case, and I've never ran from it. I've always been at every court date on time. I posted bail, never got in trouble since. This is the most trouble I've been in since.
Kirkland presented himself, if not as an upstanding citizen, then at least one who was trying to do better and was complying with the terms of his past run-ins with the law. But this wasn't true, because there was something else the investigators knew about him,
right there.
something that made him even more of a suspicious figure.
Where did you live before you lived here?
Arkansas.
Kirkland hadn't left Arkansas just because he longed for the western seaboard. He'd fled another criminal case, this time a murder. In November 2017, a 57-year-old man called Curtis Urquhart went missing in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Earlier that year, he'd been charged with second-degree forgery and theft of property. His body was discovered lying in a ditch by 3 men on December 11th. He'd been shot in the head, and his body had been mutilated by wildlife. He'd last been seen leaving a law office with Kirkland, then 22, on November 27th. This threw Kirkland under suspicion of his murder, and the police brought him in for an interview. Kirkland admitted he'd killed Curtis. That same December, his Google history showed searches for how to get blood out of a car seat, how to beat murder, killing the only witness, and other ways to get away with murder. He'd said he and Curtis had left the notary's office together and driven around. When Curtis had started to demand money from him, Kirkland refused, but Curtis kept insisting, and he said he was scared for his life. He reached under the driver's seat and pulled out a handgun, which he used to shoot Curtis in the head. He then dumped Curtis's body in a ditch and drove away. Kirkland was charged with first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. He was released on $250,000 bond, and at some point between 2018 and 2020, moved across the country to Washington State. There, far from obeying the terms of his bail, he continued to violate it. In 2020, Vancouver police investigated him for possession of a stolen semi-automatic handgun. He surrendered it to them, but the following March he lied on an application to buy another semi-automatic handgun, saying he wasn't under indictment for a felony. The application was denied. But he got hold of a gun somehow anyway, because in December 2022, he used it to shoot at Mishay's balcony window. Kirkland's murder charge in Arkansas was still pending, and now the disappearance of a mother and child was connected to his name. On March 17, 2023, the day before Mishay and Layla were reported missing, an Arkansas judge revoked his bail in the murder case. On the 22nd, he appeared in court and admitted he was wanted in Arkansas, but refused to waive extradition to be turned over to the authorities there. The judge ordered that he be held without bail. And that same day, 2 bodies were found.
On Wednesday morning, the Clark County Sheriff's Office got a call from someone who was walking on this rural road in Washougal. The caller described what they believed to be 2 life-sized mannequins down an embankment near a creek. But when deputies arrived on scene, they discovered 2 bodies. Investigators contacted Vancouver police, who determined this was likely Miche Melendez and Layla Stewart.
They'd both been killed by gunshot wounds to the head. Miche had been shot once and Layla twice, and Layla had been assaulted.
That's fun.
The investigators took this discovery to their interrogation of Kirkland.
Do you think I'm here to judge you?
No.
Do you think I'm here because maybe God put me here?
You're here to do your job.
Yeah, and what do you think that job is?
To find them.
To find them, right? Do you think maybe I have found them?
No.
You don't know?
I hope not.
You hope not?
I hope not in the way you think. I hope not in the way that I think you're about to say.
What do you think I'm about to say? Kirkland?
Just tell me they're okay.
I can't tell you that.
That's all I need to hear. Just
what do you think? Where do you think they are?
I don't know.
Kirkland, I'm here to ask about what actually happened. And I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you if I didn't think that maybe you'd want to talk about it.
I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything?
No, sir.
So what did happen?
I don't know. I don't know where they are.
You don't know where they are?
I've been calling and calling.
I get it. Do you think that maybe that might be some denial?
No, sir.
Kirkland?
I've made my mistake before.
Okay, fair enough, man. I'm not here to about past stuff.
I don't run from it.
Then tell me about what happened to that baby.
I don't know.
You do know.
I don't.
Kirkland, I don't want to go down the road with all the stuff that I have on my phone. I want to hear it from a man. You're a man, right?
I am.
You're a man that maybe made a mistake, not a monster?
Not a monster. Okay. I made my mistakes in the past.
So tell me about the mistake that happened.
The one in Arkansas?
No, I don't. Not about that, man. Tell me about this baby.
I don't know.
Kirkland tried to bring the conversation back to his past charges, including the murder in Arkansas. But he'd already confessed to that. This was something new, and it displayed eerily similar hallmarks to the killing of Curtis Urquhart. They'd been shot in the head like Curtis and left in a ditch also like Curtis.
Oh, you little barker, eh?
I know why there's mud on your car. I know why there's tire tracks down that little road that goes up where you turned around and went back. I know all that stuff. I don't need to know if you did it. Everyone wants to know why.
There, you little
a man
homo.
like you would at least give people the peace of mind of to at least know why.
I didn't do anything.
The investigator urged him to confess, but he refused.
But this is your opportunity to at least tell your family why.
I'm done talking. I told you I didn't know anything. We can go with an attorney from there.
He asked for his attorney. But even without a confession, the evidence was mounting that he'd had something to do with Miche and Layla's murders. On March 13th and 15th, he texted a friend asking if she knew of secluded local areas like woods or a place where he could bury a gun. On the 15th, he also transferred $4,200 from Miche's bank account to his own using her phone. He texted another friend on March 18th saying, "I need to get rid of this stolo," which is slang for a stolen car. It was possible he was referring to the Charger that Miche and Layla had last been seen in. On a search of this car, the police discovered shell casings, a large blue tarp, and both Miche and Layla's blood. It seemed certain that they'd been killed in his car. They talked to the friend that Miche and Kirkland had been staying with on the night of the 11th. This friend, Joe, said that they'd both left the house at about 5 a.m. March 12th, saying they were going out to make some money. Kirkland came back in his car at about 8 a.m., blasting loud music with Miche in the passenger seat. She was naked from the waist down and seemed to be passed out. Joe reached into the car to turn the music down, and Kirkland shouted at her to close the car door. But she didn't suspect something was amiss. Fatefully, she handed Layla and Layla's kitten Rocky over to Kirkland, and Kirkland drove off. Kirkland often took Layla to school, and she trusted him like a father. When she got into his car that morning, she would have no idea what was coming, and no idea that her mom was already dead in the front seat. Her life had so much promise as a 6-year-old child, and it was cruelly snatched away.
And Layla had a little kitten named Rocky. That night, pictures of her, she had a kitten on her shirt. She loved cats. And when Joanna Cardinal put her in the defendant's car, she had Rocky with her. And it's our hope that Rocky was the last thing that she saw at the time in which she passed this earth.
The loss of Layla has left a void in my heart that can never be filled. Every day, I wake up with the pain, knowing that my little girl will never grow up.
Our family has been torn apart by grief and the endless questions that haunt us every day. Why?
He a 7-year-old and then shot her and killed her.
You have judges that let him out, should never have let him out. You have a district attorney who gave him bail. Why would you give somebody bail who has this kind of a history?
With all the evidence mounting, Kirkland had to change his story. He then claimed that he'd given Miche a pistol to use to protect herself in her line of work, about which he was vague. He said that on that fateful morning they'd been arguing in the car about his second cell phone, and she'd fumbled with her gun during the conversation. She'd accidentally shot her daughter twice and then herself.
Oh, yeah.
This was what he claimed. But why try to hide the bodies? And it would be some coincidence, with the facts of the case so closely resembling the 2017 murder of Curtis Urquhart. Ultimately, Kirkland Warren had no choice but to plead guilty. He admitted to the murders of Layla and Miche, and he entered an Alford plea to a charge of assaulting Layla. This plea allowed him to maintain his innocence, but functioned as a guilty plea in sentencing. For these crimes, he was sentenced to life in prison.
I can't even make any more memories. The 7 years was all I had. And it's all because of Kirkland Warren. And I want him to suffer every single day.
Miche's family questions why he was allowed out on bail for the domestic violence charge when he had a murder case standing against him.
The trouble is when we have a legal system with district attorneys and judges, they are horribly undertrained in domestic violence. They know laws, but they don't know a perpetrator, they don't know the characteristics of a perpetrator, and they don't know what they do to a victim.
He also pleaded guilty to Curtis's murder. His sentence for this 7-year-old crime will run concurrently with the life sentence handed down for the killing of Layla and Miche. And though Arkansas is a death penalty state, that punishment has been taken off the table. It was abolished in Washington state in 2023. The motive for the murders remains unknown, though his interference in Miche's accounts and his theft scheme involving his wife Monet suggest it was potentially financial. Monet pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree theft and 2 counts of attempted identity theft, and was sentenced to 2 years probation. Kirkland Warren now begins his life sentence, but the Clark County community is angry, and Miche and Layla's family won't ever move on.
Crazy. Oh shit. Yeah, I would have already been at a run energy. Graceful's the shit with this new update, man. It's so good. Holy fuck. Dude, that's crazy. I'm still got red energy. Oh my god. It's dead as shit. Hey man, don't get caught playing on your phone now. Yeah, the only one here. I respect it. I respect it. Hey, Rocky, baby. Boss's shows, she would do the same shit if there was nobody. Yeah, I love bosses like that, you know? I love that. That's sick, bro.
It still is cocaine. The justice.
Okay. You gotta pay attention here for a hot minute. Can't wait to token a couple hours. Yeah, you and me both, buddy. I won't token until you get home. Alright? I won't token until you get home. Just for you, buddy. I'm gonna wait. Redeem token, redeem token. Fuck you guys. Said I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for the man. Chat, when I was a kid, I got like 89 strength just killing these goblins and free to play. That's a long time ago. Hunter Guild. Isn't that like Valamore? Oh. Ooh. Eek. Drop the medium clue though. I'll drop that medium clue, then I'll run over to fucking Valamore, I guess. I'll run over to Valamore, do up this part of the clue ski, you know what I'm saying? Do what's I got to do. Then I'll go pick up the other pieces, or the other clues. My oh my, we got some work to do. These fucking clues, some of these clues out of the way, you know? Jack takes a tolerance break, 2 hours. I mean, I used to work and not smoke all the time, bro. I can go without weed if I really need to, you know what I mean? Like, if I gotta work or something, I can go and not stone. Do I prefer to be stoned? Hell yeah. I can do it not stoned. Sucks, though. Shit sucks. But I can still do it. If I need to. There's the road. Justin. I'll do the monastery tally. We'll walk up this way. We'll do a little fucking teleport back to Varrock after this. And yeah. Go next winning. Crazy. No, Bart can know nothing, eh, Rocky? Any other time you go nuts.
The Justin
Read Adamant Warhammer Mithril Boots. Hmm.
Klay Thompson obviously signed with the Mavs in free agency this past off-season. A large part to that was because of his friendship with Kyrie Irving, but also because he wanted to play alongside Luka Doncic. And now, obviously, Luka's been traded to the Lakers for Anthony Davis. And here's what Klay Thompson had to say about that trade.
I wish Luka the best. I mean, it was a joy to play with him in those 22 games we were together. But we're going to obviously welcome AD with open arms. You know, obviously one of the best players ever, being top 75. And this is the nature of the business. You have to be professional about all things in front of you. And I look forward to keeping the goal the same. And that's obviously to end it with our year on a win. But it's just a hard part of the NBA.
You're such a student of the history of the game. Where does this rank for you in terms of surprising moves that you maybe didn't see coming?
I mean, it's like similar to LeBron when he went to Miami, you know. Obviously, I was on the court, but still, Luka's puts up similar numbers to LeBron, so you know he's a franchise player, and I'm sure he'll enjoy the sunshine in Cali.
We start with Charles Barkley, who
Bro, I can't get over that shit, bro. That's just crazy. Luka getting traded like that. Just nuts. It'll look great for the fucking Dallas Mavericks if a few years later he just ends up fucking doing nothing, you know? Putting up empty stats and shit. Till then, it's a bad trade.
There is no justification whatsoever for these tariffs or this treatment. Canada will never be the 51st state. We are an independent, proud, and strong nation. I'd like to speak first to our American friends. You are our friends. You are our neighbors. We share the longest undefended border in the history of the world. You buy our products, and we buy yours. You have a trade surplus with us when energy is excluded. And when it is included, the deal is even better for you because you buy our oil and our gas at massive price discounts. Not because we're nice Canadians, but because here at home we've made really dumb decisions to prevent us from exporting our energy to any other countries. But either way, Americans are better off with this friendship. We share a continent, we share the same risks and the same potential enemies from around the world. Those kinds of enemies can metastasize into real dangers and actual attacks, as you saw suddenly and unexpectedly on 9/11. It's good to have friends when those sorts of things happen. And let me ask my American friends this question. Even if you believe in tariffs, how is it possible to put a 25% tariff on Canada and only a 10% tariff on China? In what strategic mindset does that make sense? If it's to do with fentanyl, the fentanyl's coming from China. It's killing our people too. We both have to do more to stop it, but we can do more when we do it together. Now, here at home, my message to the Liberal government: put aside partisan interests and recall Parliament. It is insane that in this great crisis, Parliament is shut down to deal with a crisis and a power struggle within the Liberal Party. Let's put aside partisan, political interests and recall Parliament to pass into place a common-sense Canada First plan.
Hi, Jared Yeager here from the Western Standard. And if you could answer in French and English, please. So just hours ago, Trump said on Truth Social he believed Canada would, quote, cease to exist as a viable country, unquote, without the U.S., and hinted again that he won't end the tariffs until we become the 51st state. So I want to know, at what point is Canada's relationship with the U.S. beyond repair, and is there even a path forward for reasonable negotiation with someone like him at the other end of the table?
Our friendship with the Americans is not based on any one politician. It is based on our centuries-long history of trade, of friendship, of common defense, of fighting on the battlefield, arms locked together against common enemies. We will continue to build that friendship with the people of the United States. But let me be clear, we are an independent and we are a proud nation. And we will come through this an independent and a proud sovereign nation. We will not back down. We will not cease. We will continue to march forward as proud Canadians. Thank you.
In English?
Well, the question was whether I would support a Liberal plan in Parliament to respond to the tariffs. Well, we haven't seen any plan, so it's very hard for me to say whether I would support something I haven't seen in a Parliament that is shuttered. The question should be for the Liberals why they have shuttered Parliament in the middle of a crisis. They have their own power struggle going on right now, and the country is left largely leaderless and in chaos in the meantime. We need to recall Parliament to pass a Canada First plan, and that would include tariffs that match the American tariffs, target products we don't need, can get elsewhere, or make ourselves, use the money from those tariffs only to help the workers and businesses that have suffered and not to fill government coffers. We need a massive bring-it-home tax cut on work, investment, home building, energy and making
Preach,
stuff
brother,
in
preach.
Canada. The purpose is to stimulate our economy, crush inflation, and protect and create jobs. We need to immediately repeal C-69, the anti-resource law the Liberals brought in, which is making us more reliant on the Americans and less capable of producing what we need here at home. We need to rebuild our military and secure our borders, to protect our sovereignty and our people, and we need a massive campaign among American businesses and workers in order to pressure the administration to reverse these unjustifiable tariffs. If that plan were put before Parliament, I would vote for it today.
This guy's fucking.
Sorry. Who's next? Sorry.
I'm being pushed out of line. Allowed to ask questions now. You have talked about.
Sometimes we like to hear from local media.
Do you believe the government's promise of $155 billion in counter tariffs is enough? And what would you do differently to get the president to change course? And to clarify your last question, are you saying that you would step aside and not compete for the head of the country to allow us to get through this crisis? Or I'm unclear about your answer to the last question.
Well, I find it a strange question. CBC is asking me to step aside in the next election. It's a very strange request. No, we're not going to suspend democracy. The Canadian people run this country, and they will choose the next Prime Minister. Thank you very much. Next question.
Thank you. Next question.
Thomas Seal from Bloomberg. You mentioned the economic jeopardy for American refinery workers in your remarks. Is Canada's negotiating position today still weakened without the prospect of restrictions or export taxes on its biggest export by far?
Well, all I can say, I'm glad that they're not like Middle East. Those fools don't care about anything.
Justin Trudeau has refused to answer that question. And
yeah, well, our country doesn't care about our country either, brother.
Surprisingly, to some might be surprised to learn, have come out against it, is because it's not clear how Western oil would actually make it to Quebec, given that the oil we transport from Western Canada to Quebec goes through the United States, goes down into the States through lines 5 and 9 and back up to Quebec. Of course, Eastern Canada has to import a lot of Eastern American oil because we don't have a transnational pipeline. Furthermore, we don't export any of our natural gas to any country other than the United States because the government here has blocked LNG export plants.
You drew law flags when you were younger? That's pretty cool.
Where else would we export our oil and gas? And I think we're all starting to realize just how absolutely reckless it was for Mr. Carney, Ms. Freeland, Mr. Trudeau to block pipelines and other resource projects that would have made us less reliant on the United States. And so all of these suggestions of blocking Canadian energy exports have to be followed up with a question. Where else would you sell our resources? Yeah, right, but we have nowhere else to sell it. So that is the question that, these are the questions that have to be answered. So far, the Prime Minister has said that he does not want to divide the country by attacking one industry in one region against the other, and I actually commend him for those remarks, and I agree with him on that.
This will be the final question.
It's probably the best thing Trudeau has ever done for the country.
The question is, do you believe that tit-for-tat tariffs with the United States could lead to a trade war that Canada cannot win?
Well, I believe we're already in a trade war, and I believe no one will win. I think both countries will lose. And that's my message to our American friends. Why? Why would you want both of our countries to lose a trade war when we have the most successful trading, security, and geographical relationship that any two countries have ever had in the history of the world? Why would you want us to lose, both of us? Because that's what's going to happen. This will make America poorer, weaker, and less safe. Will Canada lose? Of course. We're both going to lose. So let's stop losing on both sides of the border. Let's hammer out our differences and actually trade more. That would be a winning solution to all of this, and that is the message that I will bring as we put Canada first. Thank you very much.
Dark days ahead, boys.
You may have heard a certain politician say Canada is
Dark days ahead. That's all I gotta say. Could be a fucking war scene, boys.
This got to be the biggest trade I've seen since I've been in the league or since I've been watching the sport. This is insane. I'm still shocked.
How did you find out?
Man, somebody, a couple fans was just on their phone during the game in the fourth quarter and just said, Luka got traded. I'm like, what the fuck? And then our security guys showed me his phone. I'm like, oh, I seen Shams. When Shams tweeted, you know it's the show. So like I said, crazy league. Looking forward to the next couple days.
Thanks to the trade.
Insane, man. It's crazy.
Luka Doncic just spoke out for the first time since the trade from Dallas to the Lakers, and he released a statement on his social media saying, "Dear Dallas, 7 years ago I came here as a teenager to pursue my dream of playing basketball at the highest level. I thought I'd spend my career here, and I wanted so badly to bring you a championship. The love and support you all have given me is more than I could have ever dreamed of." For a young kid from Slovenia,
That's his Doncic PR team, though. It's not him. Sick, dude. Some green D-hide. Nice. Like my best food there. Let's go. John, almost to 1,000 hours, dude. That's crazy. That's fucking nuts to me, bro. I appreciate you, Sean, my man. You're the GOAT, bro. You're the GOAT. Yeah. Excuse me. Five, 10. 5, 10. 15,000. 15 schmackaroos. $9 years ago. Holy.
Yo, hello, it's RuneScape. To the wall, but I'm not sure though. And
This is truly from 9 years ago.
Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to show you how to get the Dusty Key for the first time. I'm also going to show you where the Dusty Key spawns so that you can pick up multiple Dusty Keys. Now the Dusty Key is located within the Taverley Dungeon, and to gain access to the Taverley Dungeon you need to make your way to where I'm currently located. And the quickest way to get here is to go to Falador, and I like to bank at the West Falador Bank, and then cross over the crumbling wall with level 5 agility, and then make my way northwest to the Taverley Dungeon. Now, once I get north, I like to cross into this room right here, go down south, kind of loop around here like this, past the magic axes, again, looping in here and out there. And then, if I had the key, I could keep going around by the Chaos Doors, and the key is actually used on this door right here. So if you actually have 70 agility, you can bypass this entirely. But if you don't have 70
I just got
agility,
70 agility? I think I just got 70 agility. So I can just bypass through that shit. 120. 120 laps. It's not too bad. 120. How many series? 814. Werewolf agility. 636. Crazy. That's crazy work. I don't know.
All right, good morning. Y'all never see that was like, hey, send the video, put the paper up. Nah, this
No way.
Bro, look, I just came back and I'm already winning. I just came back and I'm already winning. So who's really goated at drifting, dog? Bro, it matters right now, bro. I have my headset literally over my thing. I'm just joking. Yo, what's good, Jack? It's good. It's just us, huh?
In game.
It's cool. Been gaming? Hell yeah.
Alright, I love you, illusions. Gotta turn that off though. $2,000. 500. 2000. Let's be faster to world top. Redem Toke, Redem. He's here for the rent, the rent, the rent. Fucking Mr. Gandolfini. He's here for the rent, the rent, the rent. Cheers, Shawnee boy. Low-key, I feel like playing some Apex right now. I was fucking fragging it earlier. Where's my bag of weed? I'm looking for that, so just give me a sec here. I'm kind of perplexed as to where that bitch is at. Oh, I just found it. Ooh. I'm waking up a piss, boys. I gotta turn on my fucking thing too.
Yeah.
I'll shoot for that thing.
That's rich white man money.
Yeah.
Rich white man money right there, bro. That is rich white man money if I've ever seen it. Holy fuck. That's crazy.
stunned is a good word. I think it's safe to say that there's still a little bit of shock in the locker room. One of the players' teammates, so everything was business as usual. He said, "We love Luka, but we are all."
Man, you know what, boys? I'm gonna rip this token. I think I'm just gonna go watch some TV or something. There's nothing really to watch on YouTube. Oh, hallelujah. Alright, Shiny Boy. Squared if you're still here, boys. You guys have a good night. Thank you for watching. Love both of y'all. Appreciate both of y'all. God bless. Stay safe. I will catch you guys on the flip.